Most people never finish their comic because they either disregard or overcomplicate their story. I'm gonna show you the correct way to write your comic book to prevent you from quitting in the future. For my first 2 webcomics, I thought I could just figure it out as I went, but that led me to quitting both of them. I published my first comic back in late November and also started posting it on Webtoon and Tapas back in September. I worked on it for about 2 years because I actually had a structure and I built a story and characters that I truly loved and cared about. Get a pen and a notebook. Jot down the core ideas of your story. Figure out who your main character is, a problem, and a want. For example, my story. Aurora ends up in a plane crash that separates her from her family in an enchanted lake. Step 2. The beginning, middle, and end. Establish who the main character is and the problem. Some writers like to add mystery, but the reader should be able to understand what the story is about, or the gist of it. The beginning is important for your reader to care about your character and how they'll improve by the end of the story. Establish your character's flaws. Figure out how their flaws affect the people around them and how it moves them towards their goal or sets them back. Think about how they carry themselves depending on their personality or their life circumstances. In the middle, your character should be trying to solve this problem. If you're writing a longer story, you should have multiple twists and turns that happen during the middle that keep your viewer engaged and interested. For example, your character is about to succeed, but then someone they care about gets captured, and that sets them back, keeps the viewer interested, and makes the story longer. Or maybe there's an emotional setback where maybe they're eager to do something, but then something causes them to hit rock bottom. Think about how you want the reader to feel at the end. Bittersweet, happy, sad, or you could leave it open-ended. Personally, I don't like that choice, but you could do that. Or you could do an ending where it leaves you room if you want to do like a sequel for your comic. You might not want to wrap things up too tightly if you think you might want to do a sequel in the future. You also could split your comic story up into multiple volumes or seasons, depending if you're doing a webcomic or a book, or both. Step 3. Turning your story into scenes. Each scene should do one thing: reveal character, move the plot, or raise the stakes. If the scene doesn't change anything or move the story, cut it. Don't be afraid to let your characters sit in a moment. If they're thinking about something after something happened, don't be afraid to include that, because the reader will appreciate when characters react to a certain moment. It doesn't have to be in words, it can be in a facial expression. Step 4. Writing for panels. Show your story through visuals more than dialogue or captions. Like I said, show your character reacting to something that just happened. It doesn't have to be, oh, I hated this. You can show through visuals how they're feeling, their facial expression. Dialogue is important, but I feel like you should really rely on dialogue if it's between 2 characters. Try not to do too much narration. Really try to show what's going on through the staging and the drawings in the comic. I can get more into that in a future video about how to make the visuals of the comic, but I also have a video about that I made in the past, but it'd be good to do an updated version. Common mistakes. Over planning before starting. That leads to stress or burnout. Under planning. Your story will have no structure. Trying to make it perfect. No one's story is perfect. Even the ones that you think are amazing, they're still not perfect. This is a time where you want to make mistakes, so you can get better in the future. World building too early. There isn't much for your reader to look forward to if you tell them everything in the beginning. Quitting after a few episodes or after page 5. Basically, if you don't have any structure and you don't care about your characters, you're not going to stick with your comic. You're going to realize it has way too many flaws, and that usually is what makes people want to quit. Because I quit my first comics because I really had no idea what I was doing. But when I made this comic, I got attached to my characters, so I had to show the world my story. Your first comic isn't supposed to be amazing. Don't be afraid to make mistakes, because you will learn from those mistakes and you will do better in the future. Subscribe for more videos about comics, storytelling, or your art career, and I'll see you in the next one.